This video is a continuation. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, click the link above to watch it first. Then come back here and enjoy the rest. After giving Arita a brief compliment, Minami is horrified when Arita informs her that she still needs to study when they reach home. The following day, Arita encounters Katono in the early hours of the day. However, they don't really talk much other than to say good morning. Arita begins reflecting on how they have only met a few times since that episode, but she continues to act in the same manner. Was she upset? Seiha then appears and chastises Arita for daydreaming. They started discussing Katono when Arita was taken aback to see her. But Minami appears before they can continue. She tells Arita that she called him senpai and that she had defeated him multiple times in the game the day before. Seiha, who was also taken aback, now claims that senpai is a more mature person. After that, they leave for school. After that, we see Arita arrive at school and meet his crush there. So he swiftly hides again. Why don't you just confess already? Oka asks him. In response, Arita says she already has a boyfriend. Yuka chuckles when he hears this and remarks, "You were rejected even before you confessed." After that, she leaves to join her peers. Arita, on the other hand, begins reflecting on how she was constantly surrounded by people and how they all seemed to enjoy her, but he hopes they could also see her true self. As all of this is going on, Yuka's classmates start raving over Arita, praising his good looks and even asking if they can confide in him. When Yuka hears this, he gets anxious and adds, "You shouldn't do that." He is really insane. All day long, his physique is all that matters to him. The siblings all visit an amusement park the following day. Since they were all there to celebrate Katono's birthday, everyone was ecstatic. Minami was hungry though, so Bonry responds, "Okay, I'll go get some food," and brings Arita along. They discover that everyone else has already vanished after obtaining the food. Arita attempts to call each of them individually, but nobody answers. "Well, let's just go on a date. Just the two of us," Bonry adds after noticing this. "What about the food?" asks Arita. Arita then carries all of the food by himself. Bonry unexpectedly takes Arita's hand as they are strolling. And when she saw this, Arita was taken aback. Arita finds herself in a really unpleasant situation during all of this. And as a result, Bonry frequently makes fun of Arita. They then begin to move about as usual. However, Arita understands that because his sister was so attractive and had so many admirers, everyone was staring at them. After that, they ride a roller coaster. Bonry is having a great time on the ride, but I can't say much about Arita. Arita tries calling people once more after it's over. His siblings are seen enjoying a show on the opposite side. Cheyenne tries to call Arita once it's over, but Arita doesn't answer because he's already on the next ride. When they eventually get through after trying to phone again, they discover that the other members of the group are quite far away. This essentially implies that Arita and Bonry will have to spend their time in the park alone. Arita begins to speculate. She will undoubtedly say, "Let's treat this like a date." Next, we see Arita and Bonry seated together at the food court in the evening. They discuss how they have yet to see their siblings, yet oddly, they don't seem concerned. Bonry chooses to consume the leftover food because she was already hungry. Arita, meantime, starts experiencing flashbacks. Arita then asks Bonry what she thinks of the whole circumstance where they aren't actually siblings. According to Bonry, it was a major surprise even for her, and she had discussed it with her father as well. "Is that why you seem so down lately?" she asks Arita. He can't tell her about some things. Arita muses to himself. "Yeah, it's a bit uneasy for me too, but I hope nothing changes between us," he says instead. Bonry is ecstatic to hear that and gives him accolades. She even remembers how Arita used to come to her in tears whenever Yuka would bully him. Now that he's in high school, Arita is unhappy about something. They then start talking like adults, which I can assure you probably wouldn't understand, until a young girl interrupts out of the blue. Arita abruptly leaps in front of Bonry to save her just before her juice is going to spill. Arita reassures the girl who spilled it that everything will be okay, but she panics. He is informed by Bonry that you didn't need to do all that. However, Arita responds, "As your younger brother, I also want to protect you." When Bonry hears this, she is very emotional and joyful since her little brother is growing up. When the entire family finally gets together, they are all startled to discover how utterly saturated Arita is. Everyone makes the decision to continue exploring after that. As they get to the bridge, Minami begins to behave like a prince and Yuka begins to act like a princess. Arita, Cheyenne, and Katono leave for the restroom in the meantime. Others, on the other hand, begin a covert discussion. Everyone is shocked when Seiha tells them about the bathroom incident. The true shock, however, occurs when Seiha discloses that she tested Arita and that he passed because he didn't exhibit any physical symptoms. The females are perplexed and inquire as to how she specifically examined him after hearing that. They are even more shocked when they find out the specifics. "Didn't you have any other method?" Yuka even asks. It goes without saying that the three females were shocked by all of this tremendous knowledge. They then begin discussing Katono, Seiha, and Arita as a whole. They also understand that since this information was abruptly revealed to them, they can't truly hold it against them. Naturally, their lack of blood ties is the primary cause of all of this. However, because Katono is still a child, Bonry advises them not to take things too seriously. She goes on to say that she once discussed her origins with her father and that, in reality, they are all orphans. They are all unaware of their true parentage. She advises them to simply watch things for the time being. The other siblings arrive at that moment, and they all end the conversation and recommend visiting the haunted home next. Uka, on the other hand, appears to be quite quiet and reflective. Arita, meanwhile, considers the first time he learned the truth. He initially believed he had misheard, but he is certain that even Dad was really concerned before informing them of everything, particularly considering how challenging it must have been for him to keep it a secret for so long. "Then don't worry, Dad," Arita adds. "There will be no change." We later learned that all of the siblings went shopping. He unexpectedly noticed his crush on Arita and her boyfriend as she was standing outside the store. Arita seems rather anxious as Yuka leaves at the same time. "I need to tell you something," Yuka says as they take a walk together. "We were twins until 3 days ago, but now everything is different." Arata responds, "Don't say that," after hearing this. "I still consider you to be my twin." Yuka responds, "If you keep denying the truth, you're just going to look like a fool." "Do you remember when we were little?" she asks. "Because we were twins, we once believed we possessed telepathy. Even our rock, paper, scissors games usually ended in ties, and we were able to read each other's minds. It used to be said by everyone that you two really are twins." However, Oka abruptly declares, "I love you." Arita was once more in full shock upon hearing this. Abruptly, a flashback shows Arita conversing with Cheyenne at school. "Do you see our sisters as ordinary girls?" inquires Cheyenne. Knowing that they are not connected by blood indicates that they are close female friends. At this point, even Katono had admitted her love. However, Arita declines, asking Cheyenne whether this also holds true for her. In response, Cheyenne says, "I already have a girlfriend." And Arita begins to inquire as to if something occurred between them as he was referring to his girlfriend by her first name. There's always something going on between them, according to Cheyenne. After confessing, Yuka says, "I just wanted to say this," as the scene shifts back to the present. "Although I'm glad I was your sister once, Cheyenne told me about what transpired between you and Katono." She continues, "I have to say, you handled things very well because Katono is still very young, and it's not her fault at all." She then departs. Arita begins to wonder, what the devil did she just say? And is she truly concerned about our relationship going forward? Recalling what Cheyenne said, he becomes extremely irritated and begins to think odd thoughts. On the opposite side, we see Yuka, who finds it hard to believe what she stated. The action then switches to Arita's training the following morning. But then Minami comes in. Arita is shocked to see her because Minami wakes up quite late, and she questions why she arrived so early that day. Next, a scenario from the night before is shown. She is shocked to find Yuka proclaiming her love as soon as she leaves. She doesn't bother them, though. Back in the present, Minami's curiosity was taking over, and she wasn't sure if she should question about it or not, because she might have misheard. Is there something going on between you and Yuka? She finally summons the bravery to ask. Her question is initially unclear to Erida. However, Minami asserts that nothing happened. Do not be concerned. Erida wanted to know what she wanted to discuss. Minami assures him that she will work out in the evening and departs. Then, we see that Erida was still considering Minami's query, questioning whether or not everything was truly alright and why she had inquired. He was ready to take a shower when he became extremely shy after seeing Siha in the mirror. Siha is instructed to lock the door by him.
Siha
responds, "We've been together for so long, yet you still get disturbed, even though you've seen me many times." According to Erida, "My sisters are really crazy." He then considers Siha, who hasn't altered in the least despite the incident. She doesn't seem to mind blood relations. He then questions Siha about a ring he saw that belonged to his mother. According to Siha, it is a memento of their mother. A scenario where Erida was in his chamber is shown to us later. Then Bonry comes in. After nearly 2 years, Bonry talks about returning to her younger brother's room and even compliments Erida on how well kept his space is. Bonry begins reading something adorable about the ideal girlfriend on Erada's laptop, but Erida is baffled as to why she is in his room. Bonry then asks Erida to go on a date with her after disclosing the true reason for her visit. After that, we spot them at a mobile store since Erida had been wanting to get a new phone for a while, but had never had the opportunity. But then, to his embarrassment, Bonry clings to Erida once again. Era becomes alarmed when she suggests that they check into a hotel for the night after dinner, and he tells her to stop this bullshit. He begins to reflect on Bonry's habit of doing strange things. At that moment, a woman shows up and offers them a discount if they purchase the phones together for a monthly charge. Bonry is thrilled to hear this and accepts, but Erida rejects right away. They take a stroll once their shopping is complete. Erida reflects on how she always makes fun of him. After that, they go enjoy ice cream. Bonry then asks Erida whether he is having any problems at the moment, but he doesn't respond and resumes chatting about his family. Upon hearing this, Bonry expresses her happiness at having a sibling with such strength and advises him to tell her right away if he ever faces any difficulties. Following that, we witness a scenario at their home where Kat Ono was reviewing pictures, particularly ones featuring Erida. After, Bonry shares a picture of herself and Erida eating ice cream in their sisters' group. Though a little envious, Kat Ono is glad to see them having a good time and even saves the picture. As we watch, they finish the ice cream, and Bonry begins to inquire as to where they ought to go next. Era is surprised when she receives a message telling her that she must depart since she has work. He inquires, "Don't you have any other guy you can date?" Bonry is shocked to hear this and warns him not to say something foolish. Then, we witness Bonry informing Minami that nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They hang up the phone after that. Minami was astonished to hear this because she thought she heard everything exactly right. However, since his sibling's love confession is a significant event, she finds it hard to comprehend how everything can be normal. She then writes to Bonry to let her know that perhaps she misheard and that Erida and Yuka have nothing to do with each other. She discovers she accidentally sent the message to the group after sending it. In the hopes that no one noticed the message, she instantly deletes it. However, Yuka abruptly comes into the bathroom and orders her to hurry out. Minami seems somewhat anxious when she sees Yuka. However, Yuka doesn't comprehend anything, which obviously means the message was not seen by Uka. However, regrettably, someone else did, and that individual was rather taken aback. Erida observes that Seiha is not eating and appears to be deep in contemplation during dinner time in the following scene. She continued to ponder about something after supper. Erida then encounters C. She was quite silent though, so Erida continues, "If you have any problem, you can tell me. I am your brother after all." He is feeling really uncomfortable when he says this. On the other hand, Seihyo exclaims, "Looks like you're getting into the flow," with great joy. Seihyo then expresses a desire to play a game of Twister with Erida. He surmises that Erida must have purchased the game online and is unsure about what to do with it, even though she doesn't understand why she wants to play it. Sei claims that she felt really thrilled the last time she visited Arata's room and that she could be in serious danger if she doesn't work through her emotions because her university examinations are quickly approaching. Arita was astonished to hear this and questioned how she could say all of this. According to Sei, things may get really serious if her sentiments transcend a brother-sister bond. Therefore, clearing things up in advance is preferable. She is also certain that he won't have any trouble assisting her because she is his older sister. When Arita hears this, she begins to wonder if she likes me too. Arita responds, "I never said I wanted to play this game," as Seiha abruptly launches the game. Seiha, however, reminds him of how she supported him during his final examinations. Arita must now concur. Shia and Arita become increasingly close as the game goes on. Arita becomes uneasy upon witnessing this and says, "Don't get too close." Seiha responds, "I'm just playing according to the rules." Seiha wants them to contact during the game, but Arita doesn't want that, so the game reaches a point when Arita is also unsure of what to do. Arita is now totally stranded in the corner when Seiha bars all of his paths. He must therefore touch Seiha. Seiha believes it wouldn't be beneficial for him to give up, yet he claims he does. It's Arat's turn now, and he had to put his foot beneath Seiha's, which made him really uncomfortable because he was now touching her. Seiha then begins to utter odd things such, "You can find happiness where you receive love or peace around you, but true happiness is in winning." She then discusses how sexy behaviors and dopamine release occur during dating. I'm hoping everyone gets what I'm saying. Arita was traumatized at hearing this, but Sei wasn't finished yet. She then discusses marriage, physical connections, and the human body. Ultimately, trust is necessary to maintain the connections between all of these feelings, and even science is unable to adequately explain it since it knows very little about trust and very little about love. She inquires as to whether you begin to trust someone after 50 years of living with them, or whether there is a special moment you share, in which they are also your younger brother. Arita was completely stunned at hearing this and wondered if she was genuine or insane. What gibberish about fate and love is this? He couldn't handle any of this. In addition, he had this view before him. Seiha collapses on Arita at that same moment due to her extreme exhaustion. "At least you could have fallen to the side," Arita remarks. Seiha responds, "There was no use because I was really tired." However, despite Arita's lack of cooperation, she claims that her verification is complete. Arita ultimately comes to the conclusion that she was simply overanalyzing a previous statement he made. Shia, however, needed to confirm, so she didn't pay attention. She gives Arita a thank you before departing. Was she making fun of him? Arita asks herself when she leaves. Who uses Twister to confirm their emotions? He lets out a loud shout in frustration. Yuka shows up at that moment and inquires as to why he is yelling after hearing Sei's voice. "What were you talking about?" she says. After a brief silence from Erda, Yuka says, "Let's have some fun." They were then going to play a game. Prior to their start, however, Uka informed Arita that she practiced for 30 hours each week. When they were little, Arita recalls that Yuka would try deadlocking him after he won games. This was really troubling because he does recall what Yuka said. He believes that he may be the only man in the entire household who is still distressed by what his father said. When the game finally begins, Yuka defeats Arita 5-0. Additionally, Yuka begins making fun of Arita, which Arita finds amusing. Is this a truly enjoyable game? Yuka observes this as well when he approaches Arita closely during the game. He adds that her abilities have significantly increased. After that, Arita finally takes the game seriously and defeats Yuka badly twice in a row, which infuriates Yuka. She then abruptly puts him in a lockup and declares, "I will release you if you surrender." They say, "I surrender." Erda says. However, he was considering how near they were in his thoughts. Then he grabs Yuka out of the blue and pins her down, and she recognizes this right away. He fears that Yuka would strike him more. "Looks like you've grown up," Yuka adds. She uttered something that Erda doesn't understand. Who becomes a big brother at such useless times? Yuka asks, feeling extremely shy as soon as he leaves the room. However, Irida is perplexed as to why she made all of these statements. He becomes irate after considering everything and yells aloud once more. After Irida leaves, Cat Ono emerges from a closet at that very time, looking extremely bashful after witnessing everything. All of the siblings have a typical day at school the following day. When Irida sees his father at night, he asks how he is doing and gives him a gift. To Irida's surprise, he also inquires as to whether she likes someone. The scene then cuts. On the opposite side, we find all of the sisters watching a drama in which a confession of love is taking place. Although Uka finds it dull and cheap, Bonry finds it incredibly appealing because the confession takes place in the middle of nature and looks stunning.
She goes on to discuss her ideal type.
An attractive man at a nighttime rooftop restaurant with a confession, a good income, and a high level of education. Seha then reveals her kind. In addition to family planning, the man should have objectives and a plan for achieving them. However, as Cat Ono is still too young for these things, they don't solicit her opinion. Minami goes on to add that it makes no difference where or how the confession is made. Who is confessing is what counts. The sisters all concur on this for some reason. They were ready to fall asleep when Cat Ono abruptly interrupted, claiming to like Arata. After being astonished, everyone exclaimed, "Of course, we know you like him." "No, I don't just like him," Cat Ono responds. "I'd like to wed him. I view all of you as my romantic rivals because we aren't actually siblings." It turns out that Cat Ono was the happiest of them all when they discovered they weren't siblings. The scene then cuts. Irida, who was speaking on the other end, questioned why he needed to know all of this. His father explains that it's because he's the Shianji family's eldest son. A guy will eventually fall in love with a female, regardless of how strong he is. Irata queries why his father wed his mother. His father claims it's because she's attractive. Then he reveals the true cause. His mother was kind like sunlight despite having a powerful mouth, which was ideal for a weak guy like him. He inquires as to whether Irida is still aware of the roommate's commitment. And Irida confirms that his father promised to show them the doorway to a different planet when they grew up. Following that, he begins to declare that he would always keep his siblings safe so that their home is always content. From there, he departs. Following his departure, his father claims that his wife's judgment was perfect while examining a picture of her. The scene then cuts. A weird sight with a note is displayed to us. Thank you for watching to this point. This is not the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got other interesting anime recaps for you. Choose the left or the right video.